Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we are talking about some absolutely massive news out of the League of Legends world. We are talking about changes to Cloud9's starting lineup, in which Fudge, their current Academy top laner, is going to be promoted to the starting top laner for Cloud9 going into Season 11 and going into the 2021 competitive League of Legends season. Reignover is going to become their new head coach, replacing Reaper, who has been replaced. And Licorice is going to be sold off to a new team. There's a ton of stuff to cover in this video, a ton of really crazy stuff to talk about, because it's that time of the year where there's all these transfer rumors and things actually happening in the LCS and the LEC and all around the world. But before we get in this one, I should mention real quick, if you're not already subscribed, definitely click that subscribe button really quick. It's fast, it's free, it's easy. It helps you guys stay up to date on all my latest content, and it helps me out a ton as well, so I would appreciate it a ton, and it's really a great deal for the both of us. With that being said, here we go, getting right into this one. Again, Cloud9 is promoting Fudge to the starting lineup. Now, Fudge is an import, or was an import, whatever you want to say. He originally comes from the OPL, which is the Oceanic Pro League, I believe it's called. It is the Australian league that no longer exists. And part of the OPL kind of dissolving or whatever meant that Oceanic players would become residents of North America, meaning that Cloud9, who currently has Sven and their mid laner Niski as imports, they couldn't use Fudge previously, but now Fudge is a North American resident, so now he can become their top laner. Now, he probably got signed for a much cheaper deal than he would currently be worth, because he originally wasn't a resident and now he is, so I don't know if there's going to be any contract negotiations, renegotiations, or anything like that, or if he's just going to have to play out his cheaper contract. But Cloud9 is getting an absolute steal here, where they're getting what a lot of people to believe a really talented top laner who's able to dominate the academy scene. We'll see how well he does in the LCS, but I think people expect him to be a top half top laner, if not maybe even like top 4 top laner in North America, for potentially an import price, and a price for pretty much an academy contract. So that could mean very good things for Cloud9, both financially and in terms of just overall gameplay on the Rift, obviously. In terms of Licorice, he's going to be sold off for a very high amount. He's one of the best top laners in North America. And again, he is a resident, which is going to have so much value always. He also has some international experience where he has fared pretty well, so he's going to be a hot commodity. The only thing that does suck is that with COVID regulation and stuff going on right now, a lot of teams don't have a ton of money. A ton of businesses around the world aren't making a ton of money, so teams might be a little gun shy about throwing out huge contracts. But it's also really hard to import right now because of all the COVID regulations as far as travel and things like that. So resident players become a little bit more valuable. So there are some ups, there are some downs that could be affecting Licorice's price. But he's obviously going to be a very hot commodity in the market. One team that makes an absolutely ton of sense is going to be FlyQuest, especially after Solo, didn't look that great against TSM in the finals, didn't look that great on the international stage. Adding Licorice could be a huge boom to their team, and that could make FlyQuest very dangerous, both domestically and potentially even internationally, kind of having a pretty loaded team, as many people see Solo to be kind of their one main weak point right now. So I think that could be really interesting. I'm also curious to see how Reignover is going to do as a coach. But as far as for Cloud9, obviously Fudge is, you probably have to call him a downgrade in the top lane for now, but he's a big question mark. He could potentially end up being an upgrade. Also, Licorice kind of has some attitude issues, where at certain times he is kind of a weirdo. He maybe even a little toxic behind the scenes, does some kind of interesting things, and I don't know how well he fits into a team dynamic for the most part. So potentially Fudge could be a culture upgrade depending on how he goes, depending on how good he is. Obviously, if he's just a much worse player than Licorice, that wouldn't be worth it. But if they're at similar levels and Fudge is just a better culture fit or just a better teammate in general, it could end up being a huge boom for Cloud9 overall. Obviously, this is a very weird time for Cloud9, where they were able to finally win a North American LCS championship in the spring, but then after their huge collapse in the summer, that's left them kicking their top laner and their head coach, even though they were able to win a title this year. So they're in a really weird spot. They're going to come into next season with very high expectations, because we've all seen how high Cloud9 can peak, how good this team can be, even though they collapse so far down. We know how good and how bad they can be. So it's really going to be a lot of mixed expectations, especially with how bad TSM did at Worlds, and just how inconsistent North American teams can be in general. Cloud9's going to have a shot at making it back to Worlds. They're going to have a shot at winning more titles, depending on how well Fudge is able to do, how well Reignover is able to do as a coach, and how well all of these pieces fit together. But there's a ton of question marks up in the air. A team that seemed to have figured it all out just a few months ago is now headed into the 2021 season with a lot of question marks. It's an exciting time. It's an interesting time to be a Cloud9 fan. But I'm really curious to see how all this is going to work out. See how good Fudge is, see how good a lot of these Oceanic players are. There's a couple of other guys that I'm really, really excited to see. King is another guy I'm definitely watching out for in the 80 carry position. But yeah, let's see how it all plays out. This is definitely huge news. One of the biggest, probably the first big real LCS news we've had from this offseason. I'm excited to get a lot more coming soon. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. Where do you think Licorice is going to end up? How do you think Fudge is going to do? How do you think Reignover is going to do? I'd love to hear any of your guys' thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Subscribe to update on the latest content. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.